Welcome back guys to another video, and in this video I'm going to go through some of the tricks that buyers agents use to get you guys into contracts and exploit you during the journey. And I want to do this as a warning video. There are definitely some good ethical BAs out there that you should definitely be using, but likewise there's tons and tons of BAs out there with false promises and terrible deals, and I want you to know what you're getting yourself into. This is not a BA hate video. This is just purely information. It is not targeted at any specific buyers agents out there on YouTube or anywhere rather, but it's about some of the tactics that buyers agents use. Right, I'm going to go through the first one, which is contractual lock-in contracts. Right, often you find that buyers agents will lock you into contracts so you can't use a different BA service or you can't go out and source a property for yourself. They will entitle you to certain fees. Now, this is not a necessarily bad thing. Oftentimes you pay a retainer or a deposit for the service that is to be done, which is fair and to be expected. However, sometimes those fees are completely non-refundable. Sometimes they ask you up to 70 to 80% of the fee up front, which when you're talking about $20,000 to $25,000, we're talking about $18,000 to $16,000 in form of a deposit, which is just absolutely insane. That is a lot of money up front when you don't even know what sort of property you're going to get, where they're going to put you, etc. And this is a real problem. I'm not going to put any specific contract on here because I don't want to disparage any buyer's agent out there, but often you find that if you enter into a contract with a buyer's agent, they will lock you out of certain areas from either pursuing yourself or trying to find properties yourself because they want to collect the fee. Say, for example, a buyer's agent has put you into the suburb of Morwell. If they are buying in Morwell and they've told you about it and you've signed the contract, you cannot go and find a property in Morwell yourself. And even if you do, they will chase you for the complete buyer's agent fee. And that really sucks because even though you might have found the property yourself, negotiated yourself, and then secured the deal yourself, the buyer's agent will still take the money for it. And the justification is usually because we've done the groundwork, the legwork, we've already found the property for you or about to show you a property. But the truth is, this isn't real legwork, to be honest. Oftentimes, they put you in areas where they already have contacts, where they already have a list of properties to show you and already a list of connections. So it's purely just a money grab in my eyes. And that is a real issue, guys. And so you have to be really careful about lock-in contracts. And even if you break the contract itself or they give you the money back, oftentimes you find that there is a 6-month or 12-month lockout period. Or if you don't proceed with an area that the buyer's agent has chosen for you, you might be locked out of that region to purchase yourself for 6 or 12 months, or you have to pay that fee itself. And that really sucks. So you have to be very careful and reread the terms 100 times to make sure you're not part of some sort of lock-in contract which locks you out of many good locations. Because if they don't find a property for you and you can't buy in that area without paying the BA fee, well, that sucks, or you're going to have to pony up $25,000 to $30,000. So lock-in contracts are a big thing. Be careful of that. Now, the next one I want to go through is conflicts of interest. Now, you're going to see this a lot, and you don't even know it's happening, but it's right under your nose. Oftentimes, big buyers agents and small buyers agents as well, they will actually funnel you towards independent brokers or inspectors or conveyancers, and even these days, accountants, right? Oftentimes, buyers agents will have brokers they work with, they have inspectors they work with. Building and pest inspectors. They also have a list of conveyancers and accountants, right? And every time that you go and use one of these people, they will usually receive a kickback or a commission, which in sense is not entirely wrong, but it also becomes a problem when the buyer agent specifically forces you or nudges you towards these brokers and these conveyancers, because not only are they getting the fee out of you as a buyer agent service, but then they're forcing you to use conveyancers and accountants, which are all within their circle, basically profiting even more money out of you, which sucks. And I always suggest never use a conveyancer that has any affiliation with the buyer's agent itself. There is a big conflict of interest there. Even when you're using brokers, ask yourself, does the broker really have the best interest in their heart if they're directly aligned with the buyer's agent, or are they working with the buyer's agent because they get kickback fees? And that is a real thing you need to be careful of. Now, let's go into inspectors. Now, I have noticed that some buyer's agents, they have a list of inspectors within the area that often give them positive reports or reports that may not disclose some of the big issues in that report itself. And that is a problem because a buyer's agent gets his full fee once a property is settled. So they have a vested interest in pushing through a property, even though it might have flaws within that asset, which could be detrimental to your asset. And that is what I like to call a soft inspection or softer inspections, where it could be a structural issue, but the building inspector isn't really making it a point because they just want to get the deal across and get their kickbacks and commissions. Again, this is a real problem, guys. If you use a building and pest inspector provided by the agent, reread the report, maybe get someone else to verify it. Do not just simply take their word for it, because you never know. And in this day and age, you do have to be skeptical. And it sucks to say that, but it's better to be skeptical when you're buying a $500,000 asset than to blindly trust someone just because they say they have the best interest in their heart. So if there are any brokers, inspectors, conveyancers, building and pest inspectors that are affiliated with the buyer's agent, be very careful. And remember, these buyer's agents may have a parent company which owns these sub companies, which then you don't even realize because the name is different, but they're all owned by the same company itself. Structures can be convoluting and confusing, and they do it on purpose because they don't want to seem like they have conflicts of interest. But this is a real issue, and you have to be very careful. Now, the next one I want to go through is engineered reviews. And this one may seem obvious off the bat. Often you find with a lot of buyers agents, they have a lot of positive 5-star Google reviews. Now, sometimes, and I'm not going to always say all the time, some of the reviews may be fake. They come from burner accounts, they come inactive accounts. I mean, you can create 5 Gmail accounts and put 5 different reviews and you wouldn't even know the difference. But what I'm more concerned about is not necessarily the fake 5-star reviews, but what I like to call engineered reviews. Oftentimes, you will find that all the testimonials are done upon settlement. And the reason they do that is because that is when the customer is at the happiest moment of their life. They just bought an investment property. They have done a step further in their life. They're ahead now in their minds, and they're happy that they've got through the property, they've gone through the process, they've purchased something. And when you're at the happiest moment of your life and you got help achieving by that property, well, you're going to put a 5-star Google review. However, what does that person really know? The person knows that this buyer's agent helped them buy a property. Do they really know that they got them a good deal, or do they take the word of the buyer's agent? Do they really know, will this property perform in 12 months' time, or are they stuck with a poor performing asset? Are they really sure about the building's condition, or is that something they're just taking the word of the buyer's agent? And this is what I like to call engineered reviews, because it's not necessarily fake by any means. It's just that the reviews are taken at settlement, at the happiest moment of a person's life, because they've bought an investment property. And you have to be very careful about that. Sometimes when you look through these buyers' Google profiles and you look at the reviews, some of them have gone back and edited these reviews and saying that they asset hasn't performed, or there hasn't been very good post-purchase support, or they're not sure about the asset, or the fact that there have been conflicts of interest and they've paid more than they should have. And so you have to really be careful about reading these 5-star Google reviews and just basing it purely off that. Of course, you have to trust it to a certain extent. However, always approach it with a certain amount of skepticism and be very careful about it. All right. The next one I'll talk to is actually a really, really, really important point. It's probably the most important out of everything that I've talked about so far, and that is to do with pressure tactics, right? A lot of times BAs work on volume. And what volume means is that they have to get a client, they have to find a property ASAP and shove it down the client's throat and make them buy it. Because if they don't buy it, then they go back into the cycle and the list, and they have to find them another property and then another one and then another one. And what that means is that they don't get their money, that they have a growing list of unhappy clients who can't buy properties, and they're screwed. And that's a real issue. And what they use, I like to call, are pressure tactics. Often they will say, if you reject a property, for example, that they have shown you, they will often say, oh, your budget is suddenly no longer enough because the market has moved and you've missed out on properties in this location. And now we have to look at different locations because you weren't quick enough to decide on an asset. Now, that's a real concern, right? Yes. If you are using a buyer's agent, you should be getting back to the BA within 24 to 48 hours because properties do move quickly in today's market. However, the claim that suddenly the budget is no longer enough is usually false. Markets move, but they don't move $60,000 to $100,000 within 1 or 2 months. They may move $10,000 to $20,000, but not hundreds of thousands of dollars where your budget is suddenly no longer enough to buy in that market. And a good BA should be able to negotiate, find a better deal, an under market value deal if they're worth their money. Now, next point, fake competition at inspections. Oftentimes BAs go to auction, they sort of overemphasize how many people are at the auction or how many people are actually bidding. But what's worse is that when the buyer's agent calls you and they say, hey, we have a property available for you, you need to tell us ASAP whether or not you want to go ahead with it, because there are about 6 other competing offers and they all have very good offers, but I can somehow get you a very good under market value deal, but only if you respond within 6 hours or so. Now, this is a common pressure tactic you find often with BAs, falsifying potential potential offers that are on the table. And that puts pressure on you to say yes to the property, otherwise you'll miss out on a deal. And then the BA will make you feel like crap because you didn't react fast enough to that command, essentially. And one way to just get around this is by calling the agent yourself and being like, hey, how many offers are on the table, without the BA knowing. And then you can get a sense of really how much pressure there is. Now, the next one I'll talk about is pressure to waive conditions or accept defects. Now, this is one I've touched on before about soft inspections. BAs will always say, hey, there's always something wrong with every property. And to be honest, that is essentially true. No property is perfect. There is not a single building and pest report that I have seen that has not had one defect. They always have defects. However, you need to be very careful about which defects you decide to waive off and accept, because some defects are detrimental to property long term. Structural defects, mold, bathroom, waterproofing, these are big issues. Plumbing. And sometimes BAs will be like, nah, that's okay, the property's been fine for the past 10 years. It might be fine for the past 10 years, but the problem has been getting worse for the past 10 years as well, and then you just happen to buy it when everything goes to crap. So you have to be really careful and do not simply just blindly accept defects, because if you are buying $1 million to a $500,000 asset, the last thing you want to have is a property that has a structural defect and you have now a 90% LVR loan on it, because you are screwed, quite frankly. So if they pressure you and you think there's something fishy about the building and pest report, always, always, always err on the side of caution. Now listen, if there's a cracked tile in the bathroom, that might not be a big deal. But if there's waterproofing issues, that's a big deal. Now, often you'll find the buyer's agent will call you after each rejected property. And this is something that I've noticed with some of the bigger BAs out there that they've been doing to their clients. And they will put pressure. Be like, why did you not accept this property? What is wrong? How can we do it differently? You should be accepting this property because it's growing in value. And now you've missed out on $10,000 to $20,000 while we try to find you another property, right? And they call you after each call for about 30 minutes or so, going through it and what went wrong and how they can improve. In essence, it's not a bad thing when you think about it. But every time they do, they're putting pressure for you to buy a property that you may not be happy with. Now, if you reject the property for unreasonable circumstances, then I understand. But sometimes there are good reasons why you need to be rejecting properties, because they could be next to a cemetery. They could have a structural defect. They didn't get you what you asked for. Those sort of things are reasons to consider for rejection. But every time they call you, just know that in the back of their mind, they're putting pressure on you to accept the next property that comes by. Because if they didn't call you, then you're more likely to just reject the next one. But by calling after each rejected property, they're putting a little bit of pressure each and every single time. So this pressure tactics is a big one. And the reason it's a big one is because they work on volume. They need you to buy a property ASAP so they can get their money and they can move on to the next deal. Keep that in mind. Now, the last one I want to talk about is 3 to 6 months wait periods. Now, the bigger the BA you go, the longer the wait period, in my experience. Big buyers agents, I'm not going to name any names, they will have about 3 to 6 months wait periods. And they will say it's because they need to source the property, they need to build contacts. That's a lie. The reason they have 3 to 6 month wait periods is because they have a freaking wait list. That's the truth. They have a huge back order of clients that need to find properties first, and they need to go through all these people before they get to you. Simple as that. And the problem with 3 to 6 month wait periods is because in 6 months' time, market conditions can change. Markets can become slower, and you lose the ability to pivot, self-buy, or change your strategy. Smaller BAs are generally better in my opinion. They don't have as long wait periods, they're more intimate, you can work with them closer, and they have more of your interest at heart, while big BAs work on volume. And when you work on volume, you have these longer wait periods. Just like when you go to a car mechanic that's quite famous, right? They take a long time to get your car serviced and booked in. Buyers agents work the same. And if you're locked out for a period of time in the market, 6 months is the equivalent of about $50,000 in some certain hot markets. And so you have to be very careful. Now, this isn't as big of an issue because if you sign up to a big BA, then you should already know this and you should know what you're getting yourself into. Because quite honestly, they actually tell the clients ahead of time. So it's not like it's a hidden fact or anything. So when you decide to sign up, then that's on you and not on them, to be quite honest. But it's something you should be aware of and something I want to tell you. So really, when the main ones you look at this are, there are a couple of things that really concern me. The contractual lock-in contracts, you have to be very careful of. The conflicts of interest is super risky. Do not use these brokers and these inspectors that might be affiliated with your buyer's agent, because they will get kickbacks and commission. And last but not least, the pressure tactics. Be very careful. Don't let them bully you. Don't let them steer you into the wrong property, because once they're done with you, they're done with you, right? And if you want me to make a part 2 of this video, I have more information that I can probably share as well. If you really enjoyed this video, please leave a like, leave a comment, share your story, share your experiences with a BA. And like I said, once again, not all BAs are like this. There are some genuinely really good people out there willing to help individuals. It's generally what I find with the more more volume-based big buyers agents out there, they tend to have these issues. And so I always advise you to take caution. And if you haven't already, if you want someone independent who doesn't get a kickback or a commission on every property you purchase, join the private community, because I will always give you the raw, honest truth. And even if you are using a BA, come to me. Let me help you verify the properties they're buying. Let me help you and confirm whether or not the suburbs that they're buying for you are good for your strategy. That is why I'm here. And that is why I started this whole gig, to sort of clean up the industry, to be an affordable place where you guys can get information and help. So till next time, thank you very much.